Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever you happen to be watching. Welcome to the Six Bugle Podcast. I'm your host, Rudy Ruiz, and I'm joined here with my co-host, Christy Hensler. Christy, how are you?
I knew you were going to ask me this question, so I was thinking about it this morning getting ready. I'm okay. It's been a weird couple months for me, but
Okay.
it's this is your reminder because I was thinking about how to answer this question this morning. This is your reminder as the listener that sometimes it's okay to not be okay,
Okay.
and sometimes there's been a lot of hard this year in my life, but I feel like it's a good hard in the
Mhm.
sense, that
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
make it moving me forward and the stuff we always talk about. So I'm doing okay. It's been up and down, but
Good.
just remember you don't always have to be good. So that's my answer today.
Right. No, that's good. I'm glad you mentioned that because you're right. And even when we fail, right, that's okay too.
Mhm. Yes.
Just telling my daughter about this. She's a teacher up in Michigan for Montessori, and she has some challenged kids that she's dealing with, and there's some mistakes that she made. And I said, honey, just remember, success, the road to success always goes through failure.
Yes.
Anytime you fail or you fall short, the first question you should ask yourself is, what is this trying to teach me? And then
Yes.
you can kind of you're changing the dynamics of that experience, right?
Mhm.
You're not just focusing on the negative and saying, oh, and being frustrated by it and letting that carry you for the rest of the day and affect other people, right? Or affect or just ruin
Yes.
your day or even your weekend or God forbid a whole week. But
Yes.
change the dynamics and ask yourself, what is this trying to teach me? Because every experience is a lesson. And if
Mhm.
you look at it that way, you end up being successful and it picks you up a little bit quicker. But
Yes, for
I can imagine you're a very busy person and you affect a lot of people and I'm sure the way your personality is, they are very open to you and I'm sure they dump a lot of information on you and you feel like you have to process it. But when you do that, I think you've learned that it's you're not going to carry their bricks like I typically say,
right.
but
Yes.
you're gonna help them unload them.
Yes, for sure.
So yeah, so
Yes.
it's a good thing you're doing, and I'm very proud of you, and I'm rooting you on, and I know you're always
Thanks.
constantly do good things, and Matt is always there to help you, and of course you have
Yes.
a couple kids, and they're always going to be there to kind of show you the brighter side of life and say, hey, we're all
Yes.
good.
For sure.
So today I'd like to talk about succession planning for the fire departments. What we try to do here is we try to provide you with information and tools to not only help you be a better you, but also to help you be a better teammate for your fire departments. And Christy, I tell you, I've done a lot of work all over the country, and I just got back from New York, and we did a class on mentorship. And some of the feedback that we got there was that the departments are having a hard time with succession planning. But by that, I mean preparing the firefighters to become officers and the officers to become chief officers or administration. And the very top, at the chief level, there's very few people that are interested in that position. Now, I understand that that position is not for everybody. And it does come with its own separate challenges. You're getting away from all the sexy work, right? You're not fighting
Yes.
anymore. You're not uh, leading codes and EMS. You're not doing the vehicle extrications, we call it sexy work. I know that sounds stupid.
I get
I
it.
never said we were smart.
Yeah.
But you out there know what I mean. And we find it challenging and it's not just my own experience but the organizations that I'm involved with, the IAFC and the IAFF and Center for Public Safety Excellence. They're all saying that, getting feedback that are saying we need to help these departments in succession planning, and there's very little support out there, very little information. So what I want to talk about today is a program that I created. As you know, Christy and I are both John Maxwell certified leadership team members, and we've been with the John Maxwell team for many years. And they provide us with a lot of information, a lot of programs, a lot of tools that we can use, not just for ourselves, but for our business, and so that we can help others grow. And part of my responsibilities with the PAC team, the Presidential Advisory Committee, is to create programs for the all the members in the Maxwell Leadership Team. So we created a program called Professional Development, and I kind of modified it a little bit since I was part of the team that put it together. I was able to modify it toward the fire service. And this is what I'm going to present with you today. So let me show you my screen real quick, if you don't mind here. And I'll just show you a real brief outline on what this looks like. So the process is 7 different steps. And I'll go through each one real brief to understand what this looks like. It's a multi-session, so we would come in to your department and talk about each one of these steps with your leadership team and kind of formulate a plan so that you can create your own succession plan. And we do everything from the initial discovery meeting to coming back and doing some profiles and so forth. And I'll go through each one. So the first session would be just the discovery session. We would come in and talk about what your department looks like and what your capabilities currently are, and try to find some of the blind spots. What is there out there that is affecting your department's leadership that you just do not see? And so we do a deeper dive into what your organization is all about. And based on our experiences, we can kind of figure out where we can fill in the gaps, so to speak. So we would do that with your leadership team, and you could have as many as 8 people in this group. And again, it's a multi-day, several hours a day kind of program. So it's going to be an investment for your department, obviously, but it's going to be an investment that's going to be worthwhile. Overall, it takes several months to get completed, but let's just start from the beginning. So the first one, we're going to talk about defining roles in your leadership team, who's responsible for what, potential responsibilities that are coming, issues that you're dealing with, not just right now, but in the near future. What kind of roadblocks do you have already in place that you need to address before things get worse? COVID taught us a lot about how we run our departments and how we run our teams. And it's very important to be able to forecast anything that could be in the future that could create some roadblocks. We talk about labor management relations. That's something that is very important. We understand that labor and management sometimes have challenges, and we want to make sure that we can address them before they get any worse or before there's any grievances or anything like that. And we want to help communications with the members of the community. So we will provide you with some tools on how to do that and help them with, because a lot of times you're going to be asking for more money, whether it's for tools, equipment, training, salaries. You're going to have to approach the community for all that. And for the most part, communities love your firefighters, love your fire departments, but it comes at a cost as well. And when we do strategic plans around the country, that's the first thing I ask them when we do our external stakeholder meeting. I say, so what do you think about your fire departments? They say, oh, we love them. They're great. When we call 911, they show up. And then we want to give them whatever they need. I said, so if they want an extra $10 million, are you okay with that? Well, now that's when I kind of freak out then. Wait a minute now. We don't love them that much, but they don't come down to say that. But there is a limit, right? And we have to find out where that is in order to be able to explain to them that this is what we need and why we need it, that type of thing. Okay. So let me go back to this chart here. And on step 2, communication profiles, this is where we incorporate oops, did I share that? This is where we incorporate the Maxwell disc. And you know as well as I do, Christy, that this is something that is very informative, something that is very effective to be able to learn how to not just communicate with each other, but to connect with each other, right? And
Yes.
understanding your behavior style, learning style, and communication style is going to be very helpful. When we do assessment centers, and I'm doing one this week here in Ohio, we usually incorporate the DISC assessment. And it's not something that we grade. It's very difficult to put a grade scale on it or a grading rubric into it. But we will give it to them so that they can have an additional tool for their leadership abilities. And once you find out not just what your learning behavior style is or your communication style is, but the more importantly, you understand other people's communication style so that you as a leader are going to be the one that's going to have to make that change, right? And you as a leader are going to be the one that's going to communicate in their style so that they understand better. And it's only 4 steps, right? D, I, S, and C. And the fire service usually sometimes they use other assessment centers, the Myers-Briggs, Pradco, Predictive Index, which are all good. But if you ask anybody who's taken any of those and ask them what their profile is, I'd almost guarantee they won't remember, right? Because it's so complex. And this is easy. There's only 4. Have you used that in some of your work, Christy?
Yeah, I use the disc all the time and I love the simplicity of it and the just the straightforwardness of it that it's easy to, understand and use and you kind of you look at it and you just know it's not like I do agree like the Myers-Briggs and some of the other ones they're great assessments but it's really hard for people to understand. I've taken the Myers-Briggs I can't tell you what my answer is but I can tell you, and so I think the power in the disc or any assessment though is knowing how to use it and apply it. And I think that's what because so many times people take these assessments and they know what they are. They know what number or letter or combination
Right.
they are, but they have no idea how to incorporate that into their life or their, department or whatever. So I think the key
Right.
is you doing it and then showing them how to actually use it.
Right. And like I said, we recently did it with a department here that we're doing an assessment center this weekend for. And they when they receive the report, it's a 30-page report. It's very
Mhm.
thorough, very detailed, and there's a ton of information in there that
Yes.
I tell people don't just read it once and put it away.
Mhm.
Read a couple pages a day and then put it away. Bring it back, read another couple pages, highlight some key points, write on the margins, and I don't know what your experience is on these, Christy, but almost everybody tells me, man, this is eerily right on, right?
Yes, people go like, okay, that's crazy. Like, how does it know this after 25 questions or whatever? Yes, I
Yeah,
get that same response. I don't know if I ever had anybody go, this is so off. And
right,
if they're not sure, normally talking through it still is on. It's just they're in a weird place in life. And so it's picking up on those
right.
things too. So yeah, I get
Yeah,
the same.
yeah, and it doesn't typically change much. We've done assessments where 5 years later we do it again,
Mm,
and it really doesn't change much, especially
doesn't,
the second box. That's your core. That's what you're really all about,
yes.
how you're wired. That doesn't typically change,
Mm,
but it also gives you a good indication on. It teaches you sections on how to communicate with others by understanding their
yes.
styles, and
Yes.
that's the gold nugget right there. That's what you really utilize more. So that's step 2. Let me go back to my screen here. So on step 3, we provide a professional roadmap. Now, what this is basically an outline of where you are and where you need to be for the very near future. Very much like a strategic plan, but we call this a strategic process. Why do we call it a process? Because if you have done any kind of strategic plans in the past, let me know if this is true. If you've done a strategic plan in the past, what typically happens to it? Does it get implemented right away? Does it get utilized? Does it change after 2 years or 3 years? Or does it go right on the shelf and nobody ever sees it again? You're nodding your head. You probably had that
I
experience, right?
know, like in that binder or drawer on the
Yeah,
shelf. Yep.
yeah. It
And
gets
nobody knows what it means or anything. Yep.
right, right. And they're not cheap. They can get
No.
pretty pricey. I know. I've done them.
Yes. Did you do them?
Yes, yes, and they can be pricey. They can be extremely valuable, but
Yes.
yeah, but you have to incorporate them,
You have to use it. You have to implement it. Yes.
right? That's why I call this a process, so that you understand what the process is. So it's not going to be a strategic plan for your department. It's going to be a strategic process for the group. So I want to make that
Gotcha.
very clear. So, and the specifics are going to be for the group in order to determine how they're going to progress through the next year or even the next 3 years, whatever you want to decide. You're going to have your own mission statement, your own value statement, and your own vision statement. It could be different from the department, obviously, but if it's the same, if it matches, then we know that we're a good match and we
Mhm.
know that we're going to utilize the skills that we have for the benefit, not just for the benefit of the officers that are progressing, but also for the benefit of the department, which ultimately benefits the community that you serve.
Right.
So that's going to be beneficial. That's that part. Then we get into organizational culture. Oh, there's that word, organizational culture.
That's C word.
Yeah, right. And but it's very important for us to not just understand it, but how do we improve upon it? And some people may say that it takes 10 years to change your culture in your department. That's usually in the business world. But we need to understand where our culture is now and where we want it to be. And I think being in some of these conferences, Christy, you probably heard me say there are two things that firefighters hate, right? And especially when we were in Wisconsin, when I brought that up, and they didn't skip a beat. They said the two things the firefighters hate is change and the way things are.
These are, yes.
So, how do we move forward from that? How do
Mhm.
we adjust from that? And so we have a great program on how to address it. And then we go into the four different levels of culture so that we understand where our culture is and also understand how do we get to the next level, which is very, extremely valuable. So that's step 4. Step 5 is leadership development. And leadership development is growing the leader and equipping the team. This is where we talk about complex topics, identifying the strengths and weaknesses through thought-provoking questions, individual reflection, and ideological debates. This is where we bring in the Maxwell leadership game. So we've done
Okay.
it on, I think it was the first year here in Ohio. And then we played a communications version of the leadership game in Wisconsin recently. So um, you've already been exposed to it a little bit if you were in either of those conferences. So, and if you have, you'll know that it gives people an opportunity to open up, and they do open up. And can imagine the one issue that we had in Wisconsin was there were so many people that the class took a lot longer than I had hoped.
Mhm.
But there were many people that were very engaged and very open. We even had some tears because they of their openness, and that's okay. That just means they felt comfortable in the room. They felt safe, and they felt that it was something that needed to be said. And because of that, they were able to grow from that. Imagine having this in a smaller setting, a smaller group, and watching people grow, that being brutally honest with each other, knowing that it's going to be a safe space, and knowing that being open and honest is going to only help you progress, not just as a fire officer, but as a person as well. So that's going to be very, very influential and very effective. So that's step 5. Step 6, we go into performance measurements. Basically, this is a collaboration of the entire group here. Let me show you what this looks like. We evaluate the job performance and the indicators of each position. We using the tools learned throughout the process. We're going to come back to what we've already learned. The group will establish new job performance indicators for each level position. These indicators can be customized to fit the expectation of the current needs, because some of the responsibilities of chief level officers could be different from LA Fire to, combination department or even a volunteer department. Things can be completely different. But in order to look at what are the specific needs that we have in our department, we need to incorporate everything we just learned and kind of put it into place. Now we're starting to put it in place, put people in place, and starting to structure our program. You can see how that kind of fallen into place
Mhm.
now. We're open. We find out what our needs are. We're open about it. We're talking about it. We're putting people in the right positions, giving them their responsibilities, and now we're moving into a space where we're going to start to put it all together. And That's the job performance method. So, and then ultimately we're going to end with what we call the winning rhythm. And what that is we're going to put it all together, give you a plan, give you an outline, give you a structure so that you can, basically, it's a system. We're going to provide you with a system of how you can incorporate this. It's going to be fluid so that it can be flexible, so that you can modify it as you go, and it could be a constant reminder of what you need to address in order to make sure that you're progressing throughout the ranks. One of the biggest reasons why we have a difficult time getting administrative fire chiefs to move from the chief level shift is because if you're on a shift, you work 24/48s or even 48/72s, it's kind of hard to change from that kind of shift to a 40-hour week, right? It's very difficult. But if we define what those positions are and why we need them, it'll be a little bit easier for someone to look at that and say, you know what, I'm in a time in my career, I'm ready to make this transition. I feel that the organization is going to support me in what we're trying to accomplish here. And now I have the tools to do that job better and be better prepared for that job. So you can see how we can make it a little bit more attractive and not have to worry about going outside for replacing your fire chiefs or even assistant chiefs or deputy chiefs. I came from the outside for two different departments because they felt that there was a need. In some cases, there was nobody that was interested, and that's a shame because there was very talented individuals at both departments that I moved to, and I felt that they were very qualified to do my position. And when I got in, I made sure that we had a structure so that we could have when I did eventually leave, I made a structure
Yes.
so that there's room for improvement, room for growth, and room for success. So that's the plan. And what I'll do is I'll provide this outline in the Facebook page so that you can pull it out, you can see it, have a look at it, and share this with your chief. See if there's something that they might be interested in, something that they could utilize in their departments, in your departments. And again, this is just another way that we're trying to help you be a better asset for your organization and be a better advisor for your chief. So what do you think, Christy?
So I have a question, do you offer like just parts of that plan, or is it they have to do the whole thing because you need all the parts, or can you
Um,
go in and just do one part of that roadmap?
yeah, we can certainly do that. It's customizable, and I
Okay.
see because of the timing, I can see how this can be challenging. This
Hmm.
is there's several hours, several days that this whole thing. Ultimately, it's a 40-hour program, but you're
Okay.
doing it, a whole week.
Sure.
Just way too much to encapsulate in a week. Too
Mhm.
much information. So it's for 8 individuals in up to 40 hours. And then we spread that out over, it could be
Okay.
6 months, or it could be up to, a year if you want to do it that way. Of course, you have to remember you have to provide overtime for those that are off duty. And you also have to have an accommodation for those that are on duty to be able to be out of service.
Yes.
They're not interrupted by emergency calls and so forth.
Right.
So there's an additional cost to that, not just for the cost for the program. But yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. They can take a piece of it and then kind of go from there. And
Okay.
especially, I could see the organizational culture piece doing
Mhm.
it separately. And in fact, I did do that piece separately for a department up in Michigan, and they found it extremely valuable. We had
Okay.
everyone from firefighters to union officials to captains, lieutenants, and the fire chiefs were in the room all together, and we looked at what their culture looked like. And it was a time for them to just take out their clothes and expose themselves. Not
Yes. Right.
literally, right?
Yeah.
But
Okay. That's a different kind of
they weren't
program.
actually out there naked.
Okay.
but but they were open and honest. And I tell you, there were some people that were skeptical. And I could see,
Okay.
we're going to talk about
Yeah.
body
You
language
can.
later, but I could
Yeah.
see that they were skeptical. And
Hmm.
I was happy to see that because I was like, okay, I'm
Hmm.
I'm gonna turn this around. And I'll be darned, the evaluation came back and he was honest and he said I was very skeptical.
Okay.
I didn't think this was going to be valuable to us, but he said, in fact, I wish it were longer. It was a
Yes.
class, and he said, I wish it were longer. And
Mhm.
so it does bring value to your organization. It is important to have an outside agent come in and kind of know and understand how the business works, and be
Mhm.
able to provide some guidance, not advice. This is, I'm not going to tell you how I ran my department, because goodness knows I made mistakes. But
Mhm.
I'm going to look at and more or less be like a coach, right?
Yes.
Like what you do, Christy. Just be a coach. Just see what your skill sets are, and then put the right people in the right place. And also provide you with the tools in order to be successful, so that if you don't have someone that's capable of doing certain situations, we can train them to be that person, and then you can all move forward. And I tell you, whenever I teach these classes, it's like boom, a light goes off, and
Yes.
I'm passionate again,
Yeah.
because we're losing our passion for the fire service. And I know that for a fact, because we used to get thousands of applications for one, two, three jobs.
Yeah, they were talking about that at the conferences this year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's not as
Mm.
overly, and there's a lot of people say, I don't know what it is. Well, it's the way we market. It's the way the newer generation wants to have an
Sure.
impact now. They want to make
Right.
a difference now. And then what do? We say, sorry, rookie, you're going to have to clean the toilets, mop the floors, and take out the garbage, because that's what I had to do. Hell,
Hmm.
Chrissy, I had to empty out the ashtrays, and I was the smoker. That was my
That's
job. Can you believe that? I thought, why do I have to have this disgusting job? And I don't even
job.
smoke. Yeah. And
Right.
they were adamant. They're like, rookie, you got to do it. I'm like, the garbage is
Yes.
right there. You can't
Yes.
empty out your own ashtray.
Right.
But that was 100 years ago. We don't do that. But you know what I mean. It's
Yeah, no, I think if you can provide that culture of people want to be a part of something, and so if you can provide that culture where like you're part of a team, you're making a difference, even if it's a role that you don't that doesn't seem very sexy, if you will, or making a difference, working together, doing all of these non-sexy things is making a difference.
right, right,
And
absolutely.
people want to be a part of that.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
and that's the other piece. Once you'd established a solid team, it's going to be a winning team, and people like to be
mhm.
parts of a winning team.
Yes,
There's a lot of trading going on. You're going from one department to another, because their departments are allowing lateral trades, lateral hires, and basically we're stealing from each other. That's that's
yeah,
that's not good either. And I often say, you know what? The grass may not be as green here, but it doesn't necessarily mean the grass is any greener over there. They
right.
have issues too. They
Yes.
have problems too. You just don't see them as
Mhm.
well, because you're inside the dynamics here. You're not inside the
Sure.
dynamics here. And it's not always
Right.
about money, Christy. Yeah,
No,
money is a huge decision maker,
right.
right? But
But there's more. Yes.
absolutely, if you're happy where you're
Yep.
at, if it
Hmm.
brings you joy, right? That's
Yes.
that's where you want to be, and you'll make the money work. You'll figure it out.
Yes.
But the important thing is that you're happy. Christy, we're
Mhm.
seeing people leaving, not retiring, but leaving
Just
before
leaving.
the retirement age. And we're very generous in
Hmm.
fire service. Some departments you can get 20 and out. In Ohio, it's 25 years and out. You can retire for
Okay.
5 years. You start if you're 18, you're still a young man
Right.
or a young woman,
Right.
and you still have a lot of life left,
Mhm.
a lot of time to go. But they're leaving in 10, 12, 15 years, not even caring about their pension anymore.
Not even caring. Yeah.
That's bad.
Yeah.
So
That
we
needs
have to provide a
addressed.
yeah, we have to provide a winning
Yeah.
team. And here's one way you can do that. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, and I will provide this outline in the Facebook page so that you'll have it. And I'll be more than happy to answer any questions on anything you might have. Anything to close, Christy?
I don't think so. But I do think, your people matter and the health of your organization, health of your people is going to just make a bigger impact. So it's worth the investment. I don't work in the fire service doing these things usually, but in other companies and that I do this work in, it makes a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
So,
Well, thank you very much for your time today. I certainly do appreciate it. And let me know if I can help you out in any other way. And so that will conclude this podcast for this week. And we'll see you next week with a whole completely different subject. And we'll be able to help you out that way too. All right. Christy, thank you very much for your time.
You're
Appreciate it.
welcome.
Take care.
See you all.